All right, I'm Katie Bailey. I'm the president of URMA from the University of Pennsylvania. Nice to see you all today. Thanks for joining. It's a good turnout for a very, topic we're all eager to talk about. I feel like we could have every URMA live about social media when people would joke. Um, but I just wanted to share a couple of quick announcements pertaining to the URMA annual conference. As you've seen our notes go out, conference registration is live and many registrations have been coming in. Encourage those of you who are planning to come to register as soon as you can and get your hotel reservations in place and all of that. And also just wanted to share a reminder about the Nick Houtman travel grant. So if you need some support to pay for your conference travel, that's an opportunity that's available, and we're accepting applications through April 24th. And also just a heads up that our next Irma Live, which is going to be May 19th, I believe, is that right? Beth, yes. May 19th is going to be a conference preview. So that is a chance to kind of get a sense of what is going to be on offer in Salt Lake City and get any questions answered from our conference organizers from University of Utah. So hope you can join us then. And I think that is all for now. So I'm going to turn it over to Beth Podier, IRMA's Vice President.
Thanks, Katie. And I'm going to quickly turn it over to Debbie Balthazar from Thomas Jefferson University, who really organized this session. Yeah, but social media, as Katie said, is a topic we're all eager to hear more about. And I think we've put together a great session. So, Debbie, you want to introduce our speakers or start us off?
Yeah, sure. And yeah, thank you both for getting us started. And thank you everyone for being here with us today. And now, without further ado, let's introduce our speakers for today. So first off is Alex Hatch, who is the Senior Social Media Manager at the University of New Hampshire, where she oversees strategy and content for the university's flagship accounts, including those for the main brand, students, admissions, alumni, and research. She previously managed social media for UNH's College of Life Sciences and Agriculture and the University of Minnesota, which is her own. And she'll be going over just like a general overview of, best practices for social media. Our next presenter is Colleen Brown, who is a communications specialist with North Carolina State University's College of Engineering. At the College of Engineering, she primarily covers the departments of computer science and electrical and computer engineering. She also supports the departments of civil, construction, and environmental engineering, and mechanical and aerospace engineering. In her current role, Colleen serves as the head of written content, such as research, news, features, awards, etc. And for all four departments, manages various departmental websites and email newsletters, runs computer sciences social media accounts. And she and the departmental communications team also provide event coverage, live streams, recordings, and photography of seminars, graduations, alumni events, student events, etc. She has been in her current role since November 2024. And she'll be going over everything having to do with LinkedIn specifically. And our next speaker is Alyssa Mahan, who is a science communicator dedicated to humanizing research, even if she has to get in the mud to do so. Whether her stories are written, video, or social media forward, she loves making science accessible, relatable, and inspiring for a general audience. She currently works for the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she covers research from across campus and hosts a Science Explainer series on the institution's research-focused Instagram account at UW Mad Science. And if that doesn't give you an indication, she'll be talking about Instagram. And we had Philip Frum, who's at the University of Florida, and unfortunately couldn't be with us today. So Beth will be taking over that presentation. But just to, give you the introduction anyway, since he did, prepare for this presentation. Philip joined the UF Research Communications team in 2021, bringing creativity and digital savvy to every social media platform he manages. He holds a marketing degree from Westchester University of Pennsylvania and has a passion for great content, good laughs, and good games. When he's not creating content for and about research, you can find him on the golf course or enjoying life as a proud boy dad. And that will be more blue sky focus. And those are Those are our speakers, and that really does, as Beth and Katie said earlier, it's a really great group to get a conversation started. Each of our speakers will be talking individually first about the platforms that they use or the best practices that they have at their respective institutions. And then towards the end, we'll bring everyone back together for a more general discussion about how universities could leverage their social media experience. So first, we'll start off with Alex, who, as I said before, will go over the best practices for social media.
Hi, everybody. Let me share my screen here. That did not work. Let me try again. Everybody see? Perfect. Okay. Great. All right. So, hi, everybody. I'm Alex Hatch. Nice to meet you all. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about how social media has evolved over the past 10 years. And I'm going to keep it at a higher level, so I'm not going to be talking a ton about research communication specifically, but I think all of this is applicable in any case. So without further ado, I got a little intro off the bat, but just to reiterate, I am the senior social media manager at the University of New Hampshire. I manage our flagship accounts, oversee strategy for social. I have been working in social media for almost 10 years. I've been working in higher ed pretty much my entire career. I started at my alma mater out in the Midwest, University of Minnesota, before moving out to the East Coast, where I am now at the University of New Hampshire. So, first off, I want to just set the table on then versus now, where we were around 2016 and where we are in social media in 2026. So, back then, 10 years ago, success on social media looked a bit different. It was really driven by different things. Followers and likes were, I think, by many seen as the most important metrics. They were really the hot thing. Like, how many likes are you getting on Instagram? How many followers you have? Like, that was the goal for a lot of people. And strategy largely revolved around growing those two things. I'm generalizing a bit right now. I realize that, but those were the big things a lot of people were really after. User feeds were primarily filled with content from accounts that people followed, which we call connected reach. And this really meant that once you grew your follower base, you could rely on social platforms to push your content to those people pretty reliably. And as you can see on the right up here, I have a screenshot of a highly curated Instagram feed. People were obsessed with their grids. And a lot of that was because it was largely about building trust with your audience, and building that follower base and making sure when people land on your grid, they want to press that follow button. Now, in 2026, we live in a bit of a different world. Social media platforms primarily serve content to users through highly personalized, AI-driven algorithms. User feeds are saturated with content from accounts they do not follow, which we call unconnected reach. And the most important factor in determining how many people your content ultimately reaches and how well it can capture and keep people's attention. These AI algorithms are laser focused on metrics signifying whether users stop to spend time with your content, how long they spend with your content, do they finish watching the content. And if your content cannot stop the scroll, keep user retention, they don't want to serve it to people. But on the other hand, if it can stop the scroll, they'll serve it to even more people, even people who do not follow you. This is largely because social media platforms are in it for themselves. They want people spending time on their platforms so that they can rake in more ad money, and they can just become more popular. And so they want to support content that helps them fill those objectives. And as you can see up on the screen, I have a screenshot of Duncan's TikTok profile on up here. And I think you can see some differences between the Instagram grid I had up here on the last slide and this one. This is very chaotic. It's not extremely stylized. That's largely because each piece of content is kind of fighting for itself, and it's less about drawing followers into this account, and it's more about these pieces of content getting in front of as many people as possible. All right, so what are the challenges and opportunities of this new era of social media? We'll start with challenges, rip the band-aid off. Followers are no longer a guarantee your content will be seen. So-so content cannot skate by on the promise of being served to a loyal follower base, and every piece of content really needs to prove out its worthiness before it can reach a large audience. So you need to prove to these algorithms that your content is the type of thing that their users want to see. That can be tough. That can make things a little bit volatile. On the other hand, we do have an opportunity here. Virality in some ways is more accessible than ever, even if you have an account with very few followers. If your content is quality enough to effectively capture and keep the attention of enough people, it has a shot at virality. And even one viral video can easily pack a bigger punch than months worth of like average performance content. And so there can be a real opportunity there, even for quite small accounts. And I'll give you one example of a success story from our account a couple months ago. We posted this video in the fall, and it was a UNH expert explains video. So you can see the hook on the screen is UNH expert explains why do ginkgo trees lose their leaves all at once. I put some metrics up on the screen, but this got almost 1.5 million views across our platforms, total engagements over 100,000, tons of new followers. And really, what we accomplished with this video is creating content that met user interest. This hook stopped people scroll, it got them invested to keep watching, and the delivery from the faculty member who was featured in this video was very compelling. And so she kept people engaged. And so this was content that ultimately did exactly that. It captured and it kept attention. Our retention on this video was really high. And I think sometimes that can be a struggle with research content. So I think it underlines how important it is to hit on those things that people are interested in, even niche communities, and just structure your content in a way that keeps them engaged. All right. Next question I get a lot. Is this really true for every platform? And my answer is yes, but it's a spectrum. I think all the platforms are moving more and more in this direction. But there are some where unconnected reach is far more important. TikTok, for instance, is kind of the leader in this space. It's really hard to reliably reach an audience on TikTok. On the other hand, it's still relatively easier to do so on Facebook. But even so, it's much more difficult even on Facebook, LinkedIn, than it was just a few years ago. So they're all sort of moving in this direction right now. So the too long didn't read of this whole presentation is it really boils down to attention. Capturing and keeping attention is key. Strong hooks and good pacing are crucial for content to perform well. And I just want to say, disclaimer, followers and likes still matter. They're still important, but if your content cannot capture attention effectively, those two things alone will not get you super far. So with that, thank you. And I think we're taking questions later if anyone has any questions. I'm not sure exactly who to hand it off to, so I will let you go for it, Deborah.
Oh, Deb, I can't hear you. I'm not sure why. You're not on mute, but I can't hear your voice.
No, really?
Oh, no, now you're coming back through a little bit.
Okay. Okay. I said thank you, Alex. I said our next speaker is calling.
Awesome. Hi everybody. In case you don't know me, I am Colleen Brown. I am from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I currently work for NC State University. I also think I win the award for somebody who wrote the longest bio, so shout out to me. You know, I'm a words person. If I can't say absolutely everything all the time, I get stressed out. Ba-da-ba-ba. I should know how to Does anybody slideshow? Yeah, that's the way to do it. Hmm. Are you seeing this as a slideshow, everybody, or are you still seeing the editing version?
Still
So,
seeing the editing.
All
There
right.
we go.
there
Yep,
you
no,
go.
looks good.
Excellent. All right. So as I said, my name's Colleen. I am from Raleigh, North Carolina, work for NC State, and previously I worked for the North Carolina Department of Commerce. So it's been really interesting coming and tying in, thinking about industry, economic development, all that kind of stuff, both from the kind of endpoint with companies, working with commerce, and now working with kind of the starting point with researchers too. So it's really interesting to see how those two things have really connected and are so connected too. So if anybody wants to talk to me more about that, that's one of my great passions. But today I am going to be talking about LinkedIn for higher ed communications, specifically utilizing LinkedIn articles. At NC State, I'm a content specialist, and I primarily cover computer science and electrical and computer engineering within the College of Engineering. But I run the computer science social media accounts. So that's primarily what I talk about when it comes to social media. Okay. So broadly, NC State Engineering and NC State CS marketing communications goals, just to set the scene. Social media growth is a real particular focus for computer science. Before I came on, we didn't have anybody dedicated to social media, and it was just like random people or interns or whatever taking turns at it. So I was the first kind of dedicated person who, at least for part of my job, is maintaining and managing social media. And I found out pretty quickly that a particular focus will be put on LinkedIn just because of my preferences and how well it's been doing. Additionally, we do a lot of research storytelling, student success storytelling, and partnership storytelling. So, leveraging corporate partners and industry connections and really connecting um, the university with workforce development and with research and companies because that's a real big part of research nowadays is utilizing these partnerships and talking about them and vice versa. So, just kind of an overview on our progress. I wanted to brag just a little bit about this. So within about a year's range, we had 31 followers on our LinkedIn page, and now we have, as of January 2026, we had 816, and we're up to 910 as of just checking a day or so ago. Instagram page growth was also important. And I managed to grow that a little bit. And then we also overhauled our website last summer, which was a big haul too. And all of this kind of ties together with broad marketing communications goals for the college and for the Department of Computer Science. So why LinkedIn? Why is this a particular focus of mine, and why do I think everybody should be utilizing LinkedIn more? I think this platform is perfectly suited to higher ed personally. It's professional. It tends to be a little less, let's just say, chaotic than other social media platforms, and it's not as video first. So obviously, we all know short form video is what's really popping off now and has been for the last 5 or so years. LinkedIn has less of a preference for short form video, unlike YouTube Shorts, Reels, TikTok. I mean, it's not as video first of a platform. And when you're trying to talk about long, in-depth research, it's hard to do that in a minute. Our team at NC State has actually been doing something called Research Minute, where we go into a lab and talk to researchers and do a literal 1 minute video on their research. But as we do that 1 minute video with their research, usually I or somebody else from my team will write an article about the same thing. So the video is the hook, but the article on the website on LinkedIn is the more full in-depth story. So hopefully you're eye-catching people on certain platforms, and then you're really giving them the background of the research on other platforms. On LinkedIn, faculty and grad students tend to have a very large networks and a large reach, and they tend to be quite active, going to conferences, talking about their success. And they are very, very excited about sharing anything that you put out about them too, especially younger faculty, especially grad students and PhD students are out there grinding. This is also a great way to reach alumni and industry, especially for a place like the College of Engineering. A lot of graduates from from our college are out here leading companies, working for big companies, working for NASA. I mean, really cool stuff that's in the zeitgeist and talking about, everything engineering under the sun. So, LinkedIn's a great way to talk about research. LinkedIn articles in particular are how I found the best way to incorporate longer form written storytelling. And by longer form, I still do mean like max 1,000 words. So again, this is not crazy long stuff, but in today's attention economy, 1,000 words is kind of crazy long. So that image on the right is just an example of a post connected to a LinkedIn article. So why LinkedIn articles? And again, words kid over here. I just can't help myself. LinkedIn's algorithm deprioritizes posts with external links. So we have shifted our strategy from posting external links, as in like Professor XYZ won this award, go read the article on our website now. That's really unsuccessful. LinkedIn's algorithm is not going to show that to anybody. The point of every social media platform, as Alex stated earlier, is to stay on the platform. They don't want you leaving. They don't want you going to their website. So we've had to mentally reframe our thinking. We don't care as much about website traffic. We care about the traffic that we're seeing on our accounts on various social media platforms. Um, so LinkedIn articles are the perfect storm for optimization of research. It's the right audience, the right content, young and hungry faculty with substantial followings, and it fits the algorithm and removes that external, like leaving the LinkedIn platform problem. So faculty and grad student spotlights and stories focusing on researcher awards, coupled with strong imagery, do really well utilizing LinkedIn articles. And as long as you're intentional about tagging the subject's LinkedIn profile, both in the article as you post it and in the copy of the post itself, they're going to see it and they're going to share it too, especially if you're the one who wrote the article or has been in communication with the subject. The second I put out the article and send the post, I email it to them straight away and I say, go share, go nuts, share this with everybody. And then all of their community, all of their followers on LinkedIn immediately go and start jumping in the comments and everything. It's really exciting to see because these people truly are passionate about their research, and this is a great way to showcase that. Um, I also want to be intentional about using imagery because, again, I understand it's a lot of text, but using photos, utilizing photo captions, making the article layouts visually interesting, using pull quotes and subheadings to break up blocks of text, all of that is how you kind of make LinkedIn articles look good in terms of a visual perspective. It's the exact same thing process as having a WordPress website and putting out a news story or a blog post on a WordPress website that you have the option through LinkedIn articles to utilize pull quotes, utilize subheadings, put not just a header image, but put imagery in the main body of the article itself, use photo captions, tag people. It really is you a kind of a website publishing in and of itself within the platform of LinkedIn. So I've pulled some screenshots here for just a little bit of data. I do want to note, Adobe said, and this is fairly recent, as of November, this past November, a good engagement rate for LinkedIn in 2025 was about 3 to 3.5%. If you look down here at the bottom, these are article posts. We're reaching 7.8% engagement rate, 6%, 6.3%, huge likes, huge comments, tons of reposts. It does really well. So when you post a LinkedIn article, for those who aren't familiar, you kind of go up to the left-hand side on the top, you say create LinkedIn article, put everything in the article that you need, hit publish on the article, and then the platform immediately pulls up your standard send a regular post. So then you have the option to do this, where you have your post, and it's immediately tied in here where people can come down here and click and it sends you to the article. So it's a 1-2 step that is completely tied together. As you post the article, it brings up automatically your option to do a regular post, except your article is within LinkedIn. And this is faculty, actually, yeah, faculty, and an alumni story here too. So that's kind of the storytelling that we're doing, and we're getting really great returns on it. And again, it's the usual social media stuff, strong imagery, correct tagging, and working with the platform essentially instead of against the platform, if that makes sense. If they want you to stay on platform, great. We will figure out a way to talk about our research on your platform. And this is the best way I've found to do it. So it wouldn't be NC State if we didn't have an egregious amount of red. If you want to talk to me more about LinkedIn, feel free to reach out. This is my email, and I'm sure we'll chat more later after all the presentations are done.
Thank you, Colleen. And definitely a very good point about staying on the platform, working with the platform, not working. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Would you have
think I am next. Sorry, Deb, I couldn't quite hear you there, but I'm going to jump in unless someone tells me not to. Let me share my screen. Okay. Hi, so I am Alyssa Mahan, and is everyone seeing that correctly? Thumbs up. Cool. So my name is Alyssa Mahan. I'm a research communicator at UW-Madison. So also a lot of red over here, a slightly different red than NC State. And I actually went to school at UNC Chapel Hill, worked with Alyssa LaFaro, who is a regularly known URMA member, and she's who looped me into this wonderful group. So I started my role at UW-Madison almost 4 years ago, and I was the youngest person in our office, and so it kind of fell onto me to jumpstart more of our Instagram presence. Here I am with a cow because Wisconsin. So we had a decent Instagram presence before. It was pretty random, not a lot of strategic posting happening, not a lot of tagging, not a lot of like best practices around visuals yet. So I really saw this as an opportunity though, because we definitely had an audience cued in to our research conversation that we were building. So I've got a couple of tips and tricks here of how I like approached rebuilding this and vamping it up. I think like first and foremost, we're all communicators, so we get it, but audience is a huge thing. So when you're looking at approaching and building out your presence on different platforms, you want to make sure that you're choosing a platform that will actually get your content to the audience that you want to reach. So LinkedIn is great for more professional posts and that sort of thing. But Instagram is where, at least for us, our students are. It's where prospective students are, sometimes faculty and alumni as well. So that really alters, how we approach the content that we put onto that platform. We also want to make sure that we're defining our goal for our research focused Instagram. We're really focused on educating people and getting them excited and giving them a pride point about our university. So that also helps shape the content that we put up there. And then also finding your voice and tone is really fun. We all know that we're like constantly in an onslaught of information and everyone wants us to look at their stuff. So if it all sounds the same or it all sounds institutional, it doesn't always break through that din of noise and that white noise. So at UW-Madison, we have this inspired goofiness mentality that I really wanted to be able to lean into with our research conversation to help bring it out of the ivory tower and make it more conversational. And so Wisconsinites and beyond could see themselves represented in our research. So that helped form our tone and further approach. And then we also did a lot of leveraging collaboration posts, tags, and story shares. For people who don't know, collaboration posts are an option on Instagram. I think it came around in the last 2 years, maybe a little bit longer. But it allows you to post something to your grid and to your feed so that your followers see it, but then also to whoever you're collaborating with on that post, to their feed and to their grid. So, for example, our institutional flagship account was separate from our research account. And it was really helpful for us to, as appropriate, strategically collaborate with our institutional account to leverage their viewership, their audience. And then that drove a lot of traffic and followers who found this happy little science niche that we were creating and wanted to be part of that. It's also really helpful, I think someone mentioned this before, to coordinate any collaboration posts ahead of time so that your comms folks over in other departments and institutions know that it's coming. We've also found that accepting a collab post like almost immediately really helps push it out to everyone's algorithms in the way that maximizes eyes. Yeah, let's see. Couple more tips and tricks. And you'll see a photo here of our grid over on the right. When you're thinking about making an Instagram post, if it's just photos, obviously you want the most captivating and engaging photo to be first on the post. That way it stops the doom scrollers, it's grabbing their attention, and it's really like shining. And a great way to do that is with a perspective that people never see, or faces, eyes, interactions, something that's more than just a posed, okay, everyone stand together and like, let's smile in the lab. Oop, okay. And then for videos, shorter is better, of course. Everyone knows that short video content is all the rage right now. We found that 30 to 60 seconds is about the sweet spot, even though you can post longer videos on Instagram now. But the most important thing, and I'm just echoing what other folks have said already today, is being able to hook your audience in the first 3 seconds of that video. Whether that's visually or audibly with a cool like joke or pun or a big data point that you can really drive home and just make people stop while they're scrolling and say, hey, I actually want to learn more about that. And then keeping your grid in mind too is really important. When I first started taking over this account, like I said, it was a bit chaotic, and that does work for some platforms. But for our institutional goals too, we wanted to be able to have a more cohesive story told through our grid. So we thought about how we could integrate some brand elements into that. So for us, that's our Wisconsin Badger Red, and a particular font that we all use. So you'll see that on some videos, there are like very intentional thumbnails with like red background and a particular text, so that people looking at it subliminally, they're maybe thinking, oh, maybe this is related to UW-Madison. My biggest thing that's really grown this account is our Instagram Reels. A couple other folks have mentioned some explainers. I launched and host a series of research explainers where we talk with researchers, script something out, and then I'm also a videographer and photographer, so I help them film and deliver their scripts in a way that is super conversational and fun. And that idea was really born out of fun conversations that I was having around the office. My coworkers and I would always pop out of our office pods and just be like, I'm working on this, and here's the high level thing. Isn't that so cool? And I was like, this should be a video thing. Why don't we talk to our audiences like this in this more conversational way? So I could do a whole other talk about this explainer series and some Reels best practices. I'm happy to share this slide to go through more. I won't make everyone sit through all of that because it is very niche and detailed. But in general, you want to keep like light, even, and you want to keep the environment quiet and really encourage your speaker to be enthusiastic and authoritative, like they know what they talk about, what they're talking about because they do. They are the expert. And we've found that it's been received really well. We have more than doubled our following. Our engagement has gone up astronomically. Um, and it's just been a really fun way to also help, especially grad students, see that they have a voice, and that science communication is something that maybe they're interested in continuing, in their research journey. So that is what I've got for now. It's pretty high level and but also a lot of information at once. So happy to take any questions later. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Elise. I'm going to jump into subbing for two people, for Deborah, who is struggling with her mic, and also for Philip who was going to deliver something and couldn't make it. So I'm going to show you his PowerPoint on Blue Sky. Give me just a minute here. Share my screen. Go. Let's see if I can get it to the slideshow. All right. You seeing what is Blue Sky? Yeah. Okay, great. I'm guessing folks are fairly familiar with Blue Sky, but in case it's not clear, this is Philip's presentation, not mine. Decentralized social media platform designed as an open alternative to X, which used to be Twitter. It was founded by a former Twitter CEO. It allows users to customize and control their own experience. Customizable algorithms, self-verified identities, and domain names, and user-managed moderation. Here's why Philip believes that we should all be on Blue Sky. Researchers and science communities are already there. Younger audiences are rapidly adopting it. The engagement is higher than on some of the older platforms. The decentralized structure aligns with academic values. And the discovery tools make research easier to find. And early movers gain authority and visibility. And that was Philip's Philip's deck. I was actually looking forward to hearing what he said about Blue Sky because it's the platform that I feel the least comfortable on, or not comfortable, least confident on. I want to see Joe, who works with Philip, is probably Philip's boss, might have a few things to say.
Well, I was looking forward to hearing it too, because it's the one I feel least confident about also. But I know that we kind of leaned a little into Blue Sky with all the kind of Twitter mess. And, if you compare, like, we only have 285 followers on Blue Sky versus 7,500, I think, on Instagram. And or 5,400 on Instagram, 7,500, I think, on LinkedIn. So it's still a work in progress. But I think our thinking is that it's another tool, and you can use similar content on the different platforms. So it's not like you're recreating them. Like LinkedIn and Instagram, probably more different, right? Or Twitter or X or whatever it's called. And but Blue Sky could be more like X or Instagram. So it's not a lot of extra work to use it. My understanding is that all these other presentations were about the owner coming up with the algorithm, and that in Blue Sky, the user comes up with the algorithm basically. And people more knowledgeable than me on this call, I think, can probably explain that more. But we're I think our aspirations for it are greater than our reality right now. But if it does take that next big leap, at least we're there and able to grow with it. That's all I got on it. I'm sorry.
You know, those are all my experiences, Joe. I find it a really light lift, so I just set a reminder to post on it once a week. I'm not putting much energy into it. It's very Twitter-like in that you really can post a very short blurb and a link, and so that's easy. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
And
Uh,
it goes to the same strategy that y'all have talked about in the other, and I know Phil has really kind of beat this into me that we really got away from um, doing anything to drive people off any of the platforms. And so making content specific to the platform and telling the whole story somehow in the post has really been our strategy for the last couple of years at least. And I saw in the chat a lot of journalists did embrace Blue Sky, so that's another reason to be on there. But again, we're trying not to drive people off any platforms.
well, I'm going to step in for Debbie, whose mic is not working for her very well, and open it up to questions. You can either put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can probably just come off mute and pop in and ask something. I'll also say if any of our presenters want to add anything or crosstalk or anything like that, that's open. We're open to that as well.
Since I'm already off mute, can I ask a question
Absolutely.
of Alex? Actually, a couple kind of related questions, but since you are on the flagship account, we really struggled to get the flagship account to post anything related to research. And I wonder if I see a lot of heads nodding out there. So I understand that they have a different kind of audience and mission, but I'd love to hear your philosophy on when research you know percolates up to the flagship accounts.
I bribe her.
Uh,
Exactly. Beth bribes me. No, it's really helpful that I have a pretty close working relationship with Beth because she's the true research expert. And I think managing the flagship account, I'm pulled in a lot of different directions, and it's difficult for me to gain like true expertise on research. So that is very, very helpful, having like a close collaborator. I think that drives some of the work. I'll also say that I think every university has a different balance in their objectives. We've had a big push lately when it comes to research, and so there's a lot of leadership buy-in and having more research representation. So that makes a difference. But you always have these different competing priorities. Admissions is our biggest priority, and I think for a lot of universities that's true. Sometimes it can take such a priority that it sort of crowds out research needs. I'll also say it tends to be more difficult to get research content to perform, especially on platforms that are highly visual like Instagram and TikTok. And so the resource investment needed to create the type of content that would really perform there is very significant. And so if you're in a situation where you're kind of being told that admissions is your number one priority and needs to like resources need to be allocated accordingly, I think sometimes research can fall to the wayside a little bit. But every organization is a little bit different. And so that's that's my take, but I think it really is a bit different everywhere.
I'll just jump in to say that Alex and I are both in the central marketing office, so I have a dotted line report to the research office, but that just probably structurally helps that we're both central. Let's see, Charles, you had your hand up.
Hi, thanks. I'm Charles Chalet from the University of Maryland, Baltimore, and great presentations by everyone. One of the things that we run into is well, we're a public research university focused mainly on health, including law as well. And for about a year now, we've run a video series called Breakthroughs Can't Wait, where we highlight research considering all the funding challenges. And it's performed really well on most platforms, but the nut we haven't cracked quite yet is TikTok because TikTok is very stringent on its content moderation policies, where our videos get flagged for community guide violation guidelines, where we double check to make sure we're not showing anything visually or removing certain language. But it seems to get still tripped up, and we've had to appeal, including one today. I was wondering if anyone has had encountered that or tips to kind of go around that beyond, I guess, producing a completely different way for TikTok. I just kind of wish that the platform was more transparent and more willing to accept legitimate sources of information than some of the other information that it kind of delivers out there that it says it's trying to prevent.
Any of our panelists have TikTok expertise?
Unfortunately, I put this in the chat, but we are also prohibited, as several people are saying, from even using TikTok. So I
No.
don't.
I manage TikTok, but I haven't had this particular problem crop up, so I don't have a great response, unfortunately.
Sorry, Charles. Well,
Sorry.
let's see. Why don't we move to Kelly? Maybe Kelly ask a question we can answer.
Thanks, Beth. So my question is for Colleen, about the LinkedIn articles feature. So I have two questions there. It was, do these LinkedIn articles, are they fully replacing native content on your own website, or are you doing both? And if you're doing both, what is the SEO implication of that?
All right. Yeah, that's a good question. I probably should have addressed that in my presentation. But it's not replacing native content on the website. As I think about social media and websites, in my mind, I kind of divorce each social media platform from one another. And I tell myself, okay, you're not having the same audience on each platform, and you're not one platform may show something to somebody and one platform may not. So I repeat content on every platform. I'll do repeat posts, posting about like, hey, graduation is coming up. Here's the live stream link. A week later, here's the live stream link. Don't miss graduation because everybody's mom, grandma, aunt, uncle, whatever has got to see graduation. And if they can't find the link, that's my fault for not putting it out. So I kind of divorce social media platforms and websites from one another. I'm like, if the content is out there, the content is out there, and some people may only think to look at the website or may only think to look at our Instagram. So I take an article that I have written, and it's easy because I'm the person who's writing the news story. I take that news story, I copy and paste it, pretty similarly to how I've put it out on our websites, and I put it into LinkedIn articles. So I tell myself, there's a trade-off by focusing and putting our content out in a push method for LinkedIn because that's what social media is. Social media is pushing your content. Websites are people going to your website and they have to deliberately look for your content. But if you're on social media, your content is being pushed. So it's the push versus pull situation. And I tell myself we had to make a trade-off, and that trade-off is probably less SEO on website traffic. Um, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. And I don't have enough data on our website yet to see if traffic has improved versus, done not as well. When I first started focusing on LinkedIn articles, the other thing is we redid and updated our website. So that made everything look better and function better too. So it's hard to get any good data on our website. Also, our audience, they're engineers, and specifically they're computer scientists and electrical and computer engineers. And do you know what those people love? Being on computers. Our email marketing is incredible, like over 60% open rate, and 98% of the opens are on laptops or desktops, not cell phones. I could talk about email marketing to computer scientists all day because computer scientists check their emails. It's an incredible, incredible audience. So I understand that I'm kind of blessed in that way because very few of them are on their phones. Our alumni, our researchers, our faculty, our grad students, they're not looking at this stuff on their phones. They are on their computers. But that's the nature of our audience specifically. So that's why I focus a lot on LinkedIn and a lot on email marketing because we're reaching the people we need to reach.
Thank you. One quick follow-up.
Sure.
As far as SEO, I think my question was more about, so at University of Oregon, we're in this like massive website project right now because our impact has been diluted in as like we want the algorithms to see the UO content as authoritative and therefore
Mhm.
pop it up higher in search. And so I guess my question, and maybe this is more for the whole group, I don't know, is does does not having your content on LinkedIn, how does that affect your authority if they're not coming to your domain? Like your search authority versus them coming to your website.
I haven't thought about that before. I'm sorry I don't have a good answer
I don't
for
have
you.
the answer, but that is a fascinating question.
Yeah.
I can give like a really quick take that's maybe a little bit less about building SEO authority, but more about how many people actually click through links on social media. I think it's something that platforms have started really discouraging because, as Colleen has said, they want to keep people on their platforms. And so we've seen link clicks in general dive. And so I think it's it's almost like you can't rely as much on social media for those link clicks because first of all, some platforms have really like limited the ability to link out. TikTok, you can't really use clickable links. Instagram, it's pretty limited. Facebook and LinkedIn, you still can, but they're shrinking those previews and they tell you straight up, they're like, if your post contains a link, we're going to suffocate the reach. And so I would say like it's an increasingly shaky way to drive traffic in any case.
Could I ask a follow-up about LinkedIn while we're still talking about it? Is anybody else waiting? I don't want to jump in.
Susan is waiting, but if you want to
Okay.
jump in quickly. Well, Susan,
So,
why don't we go to you and then we'll go
yeah,
back to Joe, if that's okay, Joe.
fine with me.
Well, I had a response to the SEO LinkedIn thing. One thing I had the same. I had two questions, and one was the question you just asked. And my thought is, at least when you're Google searching or things like that, it's not pulling up your LinkedIn. It might pull up a LinkedIn profile, but not LinkedIn articles. So I don't think they're competing against each other the way if you place the same article like on a departmental website and then on the research office website. I feel like that's more where you get the competing SEO stuff, but that's just a guess. But I did want to switch a little over to Elise. I had a question for you. When you're working on your reels and you're working with faculty and you're trying to get that nugget, you're trying to get it really lined in. How much do you script and how much do you improv with them? Like I get like letting them kind of do it a few times and then cherry picking the little bits, and you can kind of edit around a lot of stuff, but how much do you coach and how much do you script?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a videographer and so I am regularly interviewing people. So it is a bit of a skill set too that you have to build up. But I think it's been really helpful to give researchers that script to fall back on. It makes them feel really comfortable at first. And then after they've, memorized it a few times, they can hear themselves and they can hear if it sounds dull, at least in my experience. And so I've been able to sort of like gently prod them in a better, more enthusiastic direction. I also take a lot of time before filming to just like talk to them and get them to loosen up a little bit so that they can maybe forget that I'm holding a camera right in front of their face. And that helps them loosen up a little bit and talk to me like they would to their lab mate or to their roommate while they're explaining their work. So yes, it is scripted, but I really like to enforce that if as you're saying your line, it comes out in a different way, but that felt natural, go with that, lean into that, because that conversational way of speaking is what's gonna really like be more receptive, I think, to an audience, especially on Instagram.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joe, you have a question and then Katie?
I was going to ask it on LinkedIn. One of the big challenges for us has been getting our leaders to embrace it and use it. So the VP, some of our top faculty of a certain age, let's say, who it's my age, by the way, who just we've like set everything up for them. We've given them training, and there are so many like obvious times when it would make sense for them to post something and they don't. And they have, decent following, but I don't know why, because they never post anything. But I'm just curious if people have come up with any way of poking their leadership into using it more.
This is more of a general statement, not LinkedIn or social media specific, but I have unfortunately found a good way of getting leadership to do what we need them to do from the marketing and comms team is to find an example of other departments, other universities, other colleges who are doing it well and go, well, they're doing it, so we need to be doing it
Mhm.
too. So peer pressure is my answer, unfortunately. Which is kind of sad, but they're academics and they're very competitive. And if they see other peers or maybe even competitors in instances doing things, using that as a tangible example and be like, well, they're doing it, so you should do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Managing up in that
I
instance.
could answer or chime in on all of these, but we have a few more questions and we're running out of time. I will say before I take these questions that the recording and the resources will be online on the URMA website. So Katie, go ahead.
Thanks. And I actually have to run to another meeting, but one I can quickly ask um, about Reels and the use of text on Reels. So I was just curious what that looks like in your practices, like how much you're putting, actual words that people can read as opposed to just like only video or doing a mishmash of like text on top of video.
Yeah, so text and video, especially in this day and age, is also an accessibility issue that our office is trying to wrap their heads around. So I have tended to, I mean, we have captions in every video that has audio. Um, but we also, I'm seeing sorry. Um, I don't like to just put text up there that someone isn't also saying or speaking to. Um, I'll have labels sometimes, but we don't usually do like slideshows with text as well. So, and I saw that she just had to jump, but I don't know. I don't have a great answer. We're still trying to figure out how to get the accessibility stuff to all work out with that too. It's a mess.
Julie, I'll give you the last question here. People are starting to need to leave, but go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I was going to answer Joe. Did Joe? Oh, he's still there. How we get leadership on LinkedIn. We actually take a very hands-on approach, and we draft posts for her, and we meet with her. And usually those are really general ones. Congratulations to so and so for this or that, or hey, look at this great research, or something very specific. But then we make suggestions for more personal posts, and we meet with her once a month to talk through her communications. Um, and so just super holding her hand. But, now that we have sort of primed the pump, she's doing a little bit more on her own. And so that's really helped.
We've tried. But
Well,
anyway.
again, I am stepping in for Debbie, who really organized this, but is having some technical issues. And I just want to thank our panelists mostly for great presentations and everybody for all the good questions. And keep an eye on the URMA website. We'll get the PowerPoints up there and the recording of this. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see you on May 19th to get a preview of our conference.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Bye.